Hello, everybody. This is Martha Alter Hines with Living the One Light. So today I am here to talk about the upcoming lunar eclipse happening on Friday, May 5th, 2023. The full moon itself will be at 14, almost 15 degrees of Scorpio. And it is the second of two eclipses that we're having this season. We just had the first one last week at 29 degrees of Aries. And so now we have the second one coming up at 14, almost 15 degrees of Scorpio. So I've talked about these eclipses in lots of ways already. I made a video on my own talking about the eclipses and specifically talking really about that first eclipse. And then I made a video with Verena Borell and Jamie Goldstein talking about the eclipse season in general. And then a bunch of you attended an eclipse gathering that I had last Friday, where we looked at the astronomy, the astrology, and the energetics of this eclipse season in general. And we did a channeled guided experience of that. If you happen to still want access to the recording of that, you can contact me. I have it available. And also, if you happen to feel called to join my my Infinite Soul Wisdom membership, which starts at $22 a month, that is free. It's up and recorded, and all of this was a special soul wisdom gathering. I hold one soul wisdom gathering per month that are free for all members at any level of the membership. And then everyone, if you join the membership at any point, you then can have access to every single one of the monthly soul wisdom gatherings that I've held, which started last July 2022. So if you join the membership, actually, that's probably the easiest and least expensive way, most accessible way financially, actually, to access that recording. Yeah, so in this video, I am feeling called to really drop into just a few more aspects of, related to this particular eclipse coming up on May 5th. And so I'm going to do that. And I also want to talk to you a little bit about Rebecoming the One, the symposium that is almost entirely, completely free and is going to be held the entire month of June 2023. And it's ready for registration. It's ready to sign up, for you to sign up. I'll say more about it at the end, but I do have the link in this video. And again, there are over 30 talks going to be available for free. There's actually already one talk up that I wanted to share now because it's so amazing and beautiful, especially for those of you interested in astrology. It is an interview with Melanie Reinhart, who many of you may know about. She's a very well-known astrologer who specializes especially in the Chiron and the centaurs, but that's what she's known for. But more than that, she's just an incredibly soul-centered human. That's how I experience her. And I was really honored when she agreed to do an interview with me and for Rebecoming the One. And it was a wonderful experience to be with her. And I just love her as a human. So I would love to give that to you, and you can access that by joining for free anytime you want. The symposium. So again, that link is here, but I'll say more about the symposium in a minute. And so in terms of talking about the eclipse itself, let me show you the chart and talk about what's calling to me so we can drop into it a little bit. Okay, so this is the chart of the eclipse. I have lots and lots of points on here that you can ignore if you're not, if this is too much for you, because I'm currently quite into Kuiper belt objects and lots of asteroids and things like that. So there are a lot of things are up here that probably, aren't necessarily that helpful right this second. But what I do want to highlight is, so this is the moon, 1458 of Scorpio. Here's the sun at 1458 of Taurus. And you can see that on this eclipse, the nodes are at 4 degrees of Scorpio, 4 degrees of Taurus. And very near the sun is Uranus. That's really significant. And also, interestingly, near the moon is the asteroid Psyche. So Psyche is a goddess or an archetype who is associated with Eros. Eros and Psyche were lovers. And so they have a whole mythology together, a whole storyline. And, and I did an entire free talk and a workshop on Eros. And then, of course, Psyche is sort of woven in there. But that free talk on Eros is still available, and you can find the link to that on my YouTube channel. It was also on EA Zoom. It was an EA Zoom talk that I did. So that is available. And my Eros workshop is actually still even available if that is interesting to you. And I'll put those links also with this video. But then what's fascinating, okay, so we see Psyche here next to the moon. Guess who we see squaring the sun and the moon? Eros. So Psyche is sitting with the moon, and Eros, her counterpart, her lover, her, the other main person in her myth, is then squaring the sun and the moon. And the other major players calling to me in this whole configuration are Chariklo, which is even more closely squaring the moon, and then Hygeia, which is exactly squaring Uranus. I mean, Hygeia is, squaring-ish the moon, Psyche, and the sun, but it's exactly squaring Uranus. So what does this all mean? It's a great question. The overall, I mean, I'm still feeling into what do I feel like this means? And I think what I'm going to do is tell you my thoughts, and then I'm going to drop in a little bit and see if something wants to come through, not my brain. But yeah, so the big themes I feel in this are a combination of energies that are helping us still to release. We still have the South Node in Scorpio, and the full moon itself is in Scorpio, right? So it's still this energy of deep, deep, deep soul level releasing, letting go, and transformation happening. We have Pluto still squaring the nodes. It's going to be squaring the nodes for quite a long time. So this whole set of months of 2023 has such incredibly deep themes around transformation, the whole metamorphosis experience of being the caterpillar who then enters the chrysalis and then turns into the goop, and then maybe, is in that liminal period, that liminal space of not knowing what the heck is going to come next, or what's up and what's down. That's the energy that we're in, I would say, collectively on a lot of levels. So this eclipse still has those energies very strongly. Pluto not only squares the nodes, but it's also ruling the South Node right now, and it's ruling the full moon. So very, very powerful energies, again, about letting go. And then Psyche, sitting with the moon, is also in Scorpio. And Psyche has to do with the psyche and with I mean, she's an energy that I'm still feeling into and still getting to know, but certainly something that comes up for me is that Psyche is a part of us that can feel and absorb. I mean, it can be psychic in many meanings of that. And So to have a full moon in Scorpio conjunct Psyche, to me, is just like an extra double or triple set of layers of this, emphasizing this need for us to go deeply into our soul, deeply into our psyche, into the parts of us that are maybe not conscious, and do this transformational experience on a cellular level, on a deep soul level, on a level that's so far beyond what our minds might think is rational, or that we, it's not linear. It's not something we can have control over. So it's just very strong with Psyche sitting there. It just emphasizes the same themes to me. And then we have Uranus sitting with the sun. So, and opposite that Psyche and opposite the moon. And Uranus always for me speaks to being in alignment with the divine intelligence. And specifically, again, Uranus is in Taurus. So being in alignment with divine intelligence of our bodies, of ourselves as Earth. And so it feels to me like as we're doing this deep transformational process, there's this energetic and reminder and support that we do it in a way that's grounded, that we do it in a way that remembers the knowing and the intelligence of our bodies. And what's interesting then is that, like I said, Hygeia is almost precisely squaring that Uranus, like within 11 minutes of squaring exactly. So to me, Hygeia, among many other things, has to do with listening to the divine intelligence of our bodies, the knowing of our bodies, the part of us that is the healer. And Verena Borell and I run this goddess series, Conversations with the Goddesses, and we actually just did our Hygeia workshop last week, and it's recorded and available, and we would love to have you join anytime. And this Saturday, actually, I'm holding a sharing circle about Hygeia for people in the Goddesses series. And next Wednesday, we're also holding a sharing circle for that. So if that calls to you, we would love to have you there. But on a general, simple level, one of the things that Hygeia speaks to me about is this reminder to listen to the wisdom, to the medicine of our own knowing of our body needs. And then in a square to Uranus, just again, it's like these themes are getting highlighted over and over again in the various things that are going on here. So Uranus is just extra aligning us in that divine intelligence of our bodies, because it's in Taurus, and then squaring Hygeia in Aquarius. So it's so fascinating. Uranus actually rules Hygeia right now. So like just double, triple repeated themes. And then to repeat the theme yet again, we have Eros in a dance with Hygeia. This whole next few months, it's going to be in this dance. And I did a free talk on Eros, and I did a free talk on Hygeia. You can find both of those on EA Zoom meetings and linked on my YouTube channel. But then in the Hygeia workshop in our Goddess series, I talked a lot about, and actually in the free talk on Eros, both places, I talked about this fact that over the coming few months of 2023, Eros and Hygeia are going to be in a dance back and forth. They're going to have 3 different conjunctions with each other this year, and they are squaring this eclipse, that the moon and the sun on this eclipse, and also they were conjunct Pluto. Both of them were conjunct Pluto when Pluto entered Aquarius on March 23rd, 2023. So I feel this energetic of Eros and Hygeia very strongly right now in this year, again, calling us with the North Node still in Taurus, Uranus sitting there still in Taurus, and lots and lots of other Earth related transits happening, including Jupiter about to go into Taurus, and the Mercury retrogrades happening in Taurus, and Venus going retrograde in Leo, opposite Eros when it's going retrograde. Anyway, many, so many themes that to me are this calling and this holding space for us to come back into the reality that we are Earth bodies, we are Earth beings, we have an intelligence that's needing to come through our bodies, that's needing to come through the Earth, that the Earth is even, I feel the Earth, trying to move as me and trying to move as us and co-create as us. One of the books that I've channeled and published is Gaia Speaks. And I published this in 2019, but it feels so relevant right now. So relevant because basically the themes of that book are that we are here to co-create as her. We are her, she is us. We're not separate. That's impossible. And we are co-creators as her. So I feel like these energies are all saying that also. And then the last component that I want to touch on is Chariklo. I absolutely love Chariklo. Heather Ensworth and Melanie Reinhart recently did a video on Chariklo together, and I love that video. I highly recommend that video. I will put a link to that video with this video. I mean, first of all, they're both amazing humans, and they're both part of Rebecoming the One. And I, did interviews with both of them. So I just can't say how much I love them both. But yeah, so Melanie is an expert on Chiron and Chariklo. So Chariklo is the wife of Chiron. And the gist of her energetic is that she is the energy of holding healing space. So actually another one of the interviews I did for Rebecoming the One is with Kelley Hunter, who's another amazing astrologer. And in the interview I did with Kelley, she talked about cosmic couples. And one of the couples she talked about is Chiron and Chariklo. And the way she described the Chiron and Chariklo dance, so beautiful, is that Chiron energy, she said, was to her is an energetic of connecting the various parts of ourselves to come back into, integrated wholeness and healing in that way. So it's like reconnecting the parts in a sense. And Chariklo is the energy that holds the space for that integration and that wholeness process to happen. And I identify so strongly with both of those energies. I have Chiron on my south node. I have Chariklo not very far from my south node conjunct my Venus. It's a very strong energy, both of them for me. But I especially relate personally to that Chariklo energy of just, I feel like often the most healing thing we can possibly do is just to be present with the intention of healing, and to even be in silence as we just hold healing space. So Chariklo is, moves relatively slowly. She's one of the centaurs like Chiron. And so she's in Aquarius and she's been there, and Chariklo in Aquarius to me is just like Melanie and Heather talk about in their video. I really feel this Chariklo and Aquarius energy as holding space for us as the collective, holding space for us as individuals, for the uniqueness that we each are, but then holding space for us as the collective and in the collective, which is so much what we're needing. And so much what we're needing, especially if we're doing this deep, deep, deep transformational process, which I know we are. Most of us are. I know I am. And yeah, and so that can feel difficult, but there's Chariklo sitting there holding that space for us, as us, with us. It's just, I love Chariklo. I love that feeling in me. I love being the one, I love holding the role of being the Chariklo. I love having others hold that space for me. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful energy. So yeah, so I would say, to sum it all up, this feels like a time this eclipse is just, eclipse energy can be, really quick, fast movement that is part of the transformation of time, like the spiral, the cycles of time that are moving around and around and around. It's like I feel like when I feel into the energy of an eclipse, it's like maybe the turning goes slow, 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 and then you get to the eclipse and it goes, and then you go slow, 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 and then again you go, and with Uranus especially so involved in the eclipse, the the fast part could be extra. It's like double energy of the eclipse. Yeah, and again, so there's like this set of energies that's both trying to help us do that releasing, that letting go, so that we can come into the new. And also it's holding space for us to remember that the releasing is going to be, and that the transforming is going to be an experience of our bodies, of our whole beings, not just, it's not going to be something done through our brains. I just don't feel that at all. I feel like it's down here. It's, again, in our bodies, in our soul, in our whole being. And it's not something we can control, but we do have the Chariklo energy there holding the space for us, and the Hygeia energy, which is, a healing, it's like a healing touch. Yeah, and there's something more in that Psyche energy too that I can't quite name or feel yet, but if you have thoughts, please chime in, because there's other layers there. Yeah. And then let's see if is there anything else really calling to me? I mean, there's always so many other facets happening here, but another thing I will name is that today is Wednesday, April 26th. And this morning, the asteroid Lilith went direct. So I just wanted to name that because I have been feeling this Lilith energy very strongly, because she happens to be going direct basically exactly on my natal sun, my natal moon, and my natal ascendant. So she went direct today at 10 degrees of Virgo, 1026 Virgo. And my moon and ascendant happen to be at 11 of Virgo. But I just want to name that for anyone who happens to have really highlighted points around that 10 degrees of Virgo or Pisces or Gemini or Sagittarius in particular, that this Lilith energy is, she just went direct. So maybe it's coming up in some way for you. And we just had also Jupiter conjunct Eris Xena. And I just did a free talk a couple of weeks on Eris Xena, which also you can access through my YouTube channel. But the Eris Xena energy and the Lilith energy are both this powerful, quote unquote, dark feminine. And they're an energy that's, to me, about really, especially Lilith, is about really getting it, our full power, really getting it, that we are literally existence itself. We are infinity itself. And it's impossible for there to be anything missing as us. You know, we are whole beings who are the power of source, literally. And nothing, it's impossible for anything to take that power from us, or to be the power that is us. We are the power of everything. So yeah, there's so much more there. And actually, the next goddess coming up in the series that Verena and I are doing is Lilith. And I am currently about to read the Living Lilith book by Kelley Hunter. Again, Kelley is one of the speakers in the Rebecoming the One symposium, and she's going to be doing a workshop in Rebecoming the One on the cosmic feminine. This is going to be one of the optional, there's going to be several optional paid workshops as part of Rebecoming the One. Most of it is entirely free. And then if you want to go deeper, and if you want to, you know, support the symposium itself and the work of that, there are going to be these optional paid workshops. And Kelley is going to do one of them, which I'm so excited about, so looking forward to personally. The cosmic feminine is going to be about integrating the moon, Venus, and black moon Lilith in a chart, and to go more deeply into the feminine of a chart, and, you know, in her way of thinking of it. So yeah, and then Verena and I will be doing a workshop on Lilith coming up before that, later in May of 2023, through our Conversations with the Goddesses series. So that, you know, if that calls to you, please come to both, or either, or all of the above. But yeah, so Lilith energy right now, I would say, is very strong. Eros energy is very strong. And if you're feeling that, makes sense. What else? There's so much more, but I think those are all the things calling to me at this moment. So I'll just say a little more about Rebecoming the One. I made a whole separate introductory video about Rebecoming the One, so I'll refer you to that if you want to hear, you know, a lot about it. Please go to that video where I formally invite you and give more details. But the general gist is that Rebecoming the One, this is the second year that I'm hosting this symposium. It was a symposium that came to me in a vision on my birthday in March of 2022. So last year. And, you know, I was with a client actually, and in this beautiful location overlooking the Pacific Ocean near where I live. And I felt this bolt of lightning go through my body, and this whole vision of this symposium flashed before my eyes, and I was told by the spirit world, do it. So I am. So I did. So I did, and I am. And yeah, last year it had 42 speakers. People absolutely loved it. And so I'm doing again. But this year it's going to be, last year was an 8-day event. This year it's going to be a full month event. And it is, you know, there are lots and lots of summits out there. This is not that. This is not just a normal 2 days here and then gone kind of thing. This is a month long, almost entirely free. Well, I would say 2/3 of it is free, but a lot of it is free because I want to make it accessible to as many people as possible. It is a collaborative, joint, collective opportunity to do, you know, collective healing of our relationships to gender and sexuality, and many, 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 many facets of that. So this year, the request from lots of you and people who were there last year is to have less content, but more time to integrate it. So the way I've structured it this year is really deliberately trying to make it a conscious opportunity for true healing. So it's running over an entire month. Everything will be recorded, available indefinitely. I'm hosting it on my Teachable site, so you'll have your own place where you can, your own library, and you can go and easily access all of the free talks and then any of the paid things that you choose to do. If you want to do the paid options, there's an all-in-one bundle, which I have made a sliding scale set of prices for, to try to make it as, again, accessible as possible while still supporting me and the rest of the speakers to do this work, because it is a huge amount of work for me. And I'm a mom and I have 2 kids that I need to support, including myself. So if you do feel called to participate in it and you are able to financially support it, I would certainly appreciate that a great deal. And if you are not in a position to do that, please join anyway. I really want this to be something that can reach as many people as possible. Last year, we had people from 54 different countries sign up. And I just realized I was still sharing the chart, which I didn't need to be doing. So you can talk directly to me. Okay. And yeah, so last year there were 50 people from 54 different countries, and I'm really hoping and holding the intention that, again, this will be something that reaches worldwide and has the ability to bring healing to our entire world, to our collective, to us individually, in many, many different ways, on many different levels. And yeah, I just had a lot of feedback last year that, this is like, people said things like, this space is the first time I've ever felt safe to be who I am, or to talk about the needs of my children around gender or sexual orientation or sexuality, or et cetera, et cetera. And it's also another part of the intention of this is that when we talk about the healing of gender, I feel like there's been a lot of work by people who identify as women with regard to the divine feminine. And then there's also the men's movement, where people who typically identify as a man gather together and talk about the needs of men. But I don't see much of anywhere that brings the two together. And I also don't see much of anywhere that does so in a way that also incorporates the non-binary, gender fluidity, transgender reality, and that touches on the needs of our youth, and especially our queer identified youth, and holds space for the reality that lots and lots and lots of us don't necessarily identify as heterosexual or cisgender. And lots of us do too. I mean, this symposium is absolutely for you if you do identify as straight and you identify with the gender that you were identified at birth as. And it's also for you if you identify as any gender and any sexual orientation. It's for everybody, everybody and everyone. And yeah, so I don't see much out there that holds space for this conversation around gender and sexuality to be done in the context of everybody, of every gender and of every sexual orientation. So that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to hold space for us all to come together and for it all to be acknowledged: the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the divine person, and then become the one. Yeah. Okay. I think that's everything for now. I go into more detail in this other video that talks, just specifically an explanation of the symposium. So feel free to watch that or just sign up for free. It's all, the free part is available, and you can again watch the interview I did with Melanie Reinhart for free immediately. That is available now. And the rest will become available starting on June 1st, 2023. If you're watching this video later than June 2023 for any reason, it's still available. It's going to be available indefinitely. So still sign up for free. And please contact me with any questions, any feedback, any suggestions, all of the above. livingtheonelight@gmail.com. I will also say I'm also going to be holding my next soul wisdom gathering. I'm going to be holding 2 gatherings in May, and the rest of my time is going to be pretty much spent preparing for the symposium. But the 2 gatherings I am holding in May are on May 5th, the day of the eclipse, actually, is going to be my May Deep Peace and Healing session. So you're all welcome to come to that. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central European time. So that's a time when I channel, and basically we're held by the spirit world for some kind of experience of deep peace and healing. That's just if you want to just let go into the arms of the divine. That's May 5th. Then 2 weeks later, on May 19th, on the new moon in Taurus coming up after the eclipse, I will hold my May Infinite Soul Wisdom Gathering, which again is free for everybody who is a member of my Infinite Soul Wisdom membership, which again starts at $22 a month. And but it's also available for anybody who wants to be just at that gathering. And we're going to drop into the really powerful energies of that new moon in Taurus, and see what the spirit world. I will also channel something, whatever is wanting to come through for that new moon at that gathering. Yeah. Okay. I think that's really, really it. All right. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you soon.